Hello crafters, I'm Jan B and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this Celebrate You card. The colour scheme on this one is Pool Party, and for the video I'm going to be doing Sweet Sugar Plum. So I'll start off by telling you the card pieces that you're going to need. You need a card base which measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, scored and folded at 4 1/8 inches, which is 21 by 14.5 centimetres, scored and folded at 10.5 centimetres. And then you need 2 pieces of Sweet Sugar Plum, and they should measure 4 inches by 5 5/8 inches, which is 10.25 by 14.25 centimetres. And then you need 2 pieces of Whisper White, which measure 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches, which is 10 by 14 centimetres. And then you'll need a piece of Sweet Sugar Plum and a piece of Whisper White, both which should measure 1 3/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches, which is 4.4 by 10.8 centimetres. In fact, I didn't have to be too precise on that one, did I? And then you need another piece of Sweet Sugar Plum and a piece of Whisper White, which should both measure 1 1/4 inches by 2 inches, which is 3 centimetres by 5 centimetres. Then you'll need a scrap of Whisper White to do the flower. And on this little piece of paper, because it's going to be used for a cutout and it's not any about layering, so it doesn't get muddled up with the others, I've cut the corner off. Now this was a tip that I picked up from another demonstrator. She posted it to the demonstrator's Facebook website, and it's just absolutely brilliant. If you do classes and people not sure whether that's going to be a layer or that's going to be for something like this, it's great. Just take the corner off. Thought it was a great idea. Whoever gave that idea, I'm sorry I can't remember who you are. If I do find out before I edit the video, I'll put your name up there for you. The other pieces you're going to need a scrap of Daffodil Delight for the 1/2 inch circle in the centre. You'll need a scrap of Basic Grey for the 1/4 inch circle in the middle, and you'll need some very thin strips to do the 2 bits across there. When I'm cutting my cardstock to size, whatever job that I'm doing, if I come up with very thin strips like this, I save them with all my offcuts because they are just so handy to use when I'm doing something like this. The size of it, it's a tad over 1/16 of an inch, and you need it by 5 1/2 inches, and in centimetres it's a bit more precise. It's between 0.4 and 0.5 of a centimetre wide by 14 centimetres long. Right, so what shall I do first? The stamping, I suppose. There's that one and that one. Those 4 need die cutting, and that one will need a bit of stamping on it as well. Okay, so I'm going to do this one first. This one's for the inside of the card, and all I've done in there is stamped half of the sun, and I've put half of a circle on there as well. And I have prepared my Stamp-a-ma-jig to make sure that I get things positioned really nicely. So let me get my 1/2 inch circle first, and I'm using the 1/2 inch circle punch. In fact, I will need 2 of these, so I'll do them both now. I need 1 complete one and 1 half of one. So let's do that. There we go. In fact, I might as well do the inside of the card first, mightn't I? Okay, so I'm lining up the sun where I want it to go, and the sun is from the Amazing You stamp set, which is one of the stamp sets that's available in our celebration, which goes on to the 31st of March 2018. And this is the flower stamp that I've used on the card as well. The one on the top here has been fussy cut. And the set of dies, while I'm talking about these, are called Celebrate You, and these are also from Celebration. But this year what Stampin' Up have done is, in our Celebration catalogue, all the products you can choose for every £45 or €60 that you spend, except for the last two items, which are if your order comes to £90 or €120, you can choose that or this stamp set, which is a double box set, because there are just so many stamps in there. Both of them are great, but this goes with this one because it's got the Amazing, it's got the Celebrate, and it's got the You. So great gifts in the celebration this year. And you probably also know how I keep my dies like this. I put the name of the dies up there, the name of the stamp set they go with, the catalogue number and how many dies. Normally, on the piece of paper that I adhere to the back, this little bit of cardboard, I normally adhere these die cuts on there so that I know exactly what they do. But because they're words, and in a little while time I will forget what these words say, so it's easy just to stick them on the front like that. Right, so let's concentrate on getting the inside of the card done first. So that's my Stamp-a-ma-jig lined up. Pop that in place, and I'm going to stamp this using Daffodil Delight ink. I'm going to move my card out of the way. I'll bring it back if I need to refer to it. I've already had one clumsy accident today, which I'll show you at the end. Really excelled myself with this one. Right, this is the Half Sunshine. Won't put that too far away because I'm going to need that again. And I'm going to need that again. I'm going to take my half sun. This is meant to be the sun in the centre here. You can use whichever glue you like for this bit. I'm using Tombow. Trying not to put the tweezers so far in that they get stuck on the glue. Right, just make sure that that comes right to the edge. Right, I'll give that a little while to dry before I adhere that inside the card, because I want to do my stamping on here, give it a little while to dry before I start colouring. So I'm using basic grey archival ink. This is the flower stamp, and what I'm going to do is I want it halfway here. So if I can clear a little bit of space for myself. Now this is nearly 4 inches, so it's got to be up to just under the 2 inches. There we go. So I know that that line is my centre line. Don't think you can see that side, can you? Yes, you can, yeah. So I've picked the centre there, and it's almost 2, almost 2. I mean, it doesn't have to be absolutely precise. The first card I did, I tried using basic black here on the pool party one, but I felt it came up too dark, and on this one, the proper one, I've used the basic grey, and it really does look a lot better with such a soft colour. Although the Sweet Sugar Plum on this I might have been able to get away with using basic black. We'll just do my flower stamp. Now on this one I only need the actual flower. So I want those to be drying. Can I be doing the sun on here? I can, can't I? So if I put that back into position, and what I'm going to do with the sun stamp, I'm going to put it along here, one up, one down, so it looks complete. Now I don't want to use basic grey for it. Let's bring the Daffodil Delight out again. So I'm going to try and line up approximately with that, and I will use my Stamp-a-ma-jig again. Now what I want is, I want to position this so that I've got approximately the same gap on the white there as I have there. So make it line up with the thick line, and then judge that I'm about got the same gap here as that side. I think that looks about right. Usual problem, oops, oh, that's right, the paper's going with it. Usual problem of not being able to look over the top of my cardstock. Right. But this one doesn't really matter if it's not straight, because I'm going to put the other half opposite, and as long as I make sure it lines up, that could be crooked as well. That's the other bit I want to leave for a while, don't I? I inked my ink pad a little while ago, and this is the first time I used it since then. So while that's drying, I'm going to put the inside of my card together. Let's move that over. I'm very jumpy about putting things on top of each other. Tombow. So I'm going to put the white on top of the sugar plum, sweet sugar plum. That looks good. I'll pop that inside my card. There we go. I can put this one on as well. The technique that I'm showing you today is the way you can get ombre effect on the Celebrate You using our brayers. Oops, that looks quite big. Maybe I didn't cut that the right size. Well, it's fitted on, so I'm not going to worry. Right. So first of all, I'm going to do the other half of the sun. I'll bring my Stamp-a-ma-jig back. So that's going to line up. This is a lovely easy card to make. There we go. So I've finished with that. Where's my sun gone? So I'm going to pop this in the middle. I colour my flowers, or at least I have been colouring my flowers using my marker pens. Now what's going to happen is this one, it's just the actual flower that's going to be cut out, fussy cut, and popped on top of this flower. So you don't need to colour the outside of this one. And on this one you could leave the inside. I do the whole flower because I feel that because this is lifting up, it's going to be difficult to decide exactly where to stop colouring. So I feel that you might as well just colour the whole lot. But you don't have to worry about trying to get any kind of shading on the bit that's underneath. Can you see how much this basic grey has lightened up since it's dried? When it was first stamped, it really did look quite dark. I also just coloured down that little bit because there are white pieces showing through. And don't worry too much if you go over the edge, because on this one we are cutting it out right up to the grey. Okay, so I've done round the edges once, going round a second time, and then just quickly colouring that in so it comes up lighter. This is another one you need to give it a bit of time for the colour to settle down. And it looks as if it's all going to be the same colour all over. But by the time you're finished it won't. I'll tell you what the boo-boo was today. I made one of these cards, and on the where I adhered this sun in the middle there, like that one there, I had painted it using our fine tip glue pen because I wanted it to dry all shiny, and I put it on the side to dry because I had put it on quite thick, and then I pulled it down to check something or measure something, can't remember quite what, and then I put it on my table, and then I put something on top of it. Not only did I flatten the sun so it's got it's not sure convex or concave, but it's dipped in now, and I also spread the glue that's from the fine tip glue pen all over. I tried to remove it, but all that's happened is I've actually torn the cardstock. So I really don't know how I'm going to rescue it. Right, what I've been doing now, as I've been talking, is I've just been going round and drawing a line on the black lines just to give this a bit of shading. Okay, don't know how much you can see down there, so let me bring it up to you. Okay, nothing fantastic, but it looks good from a distance. Let me show you this card that I really messed up on. Okay, so that's my sun, which is really dented in the middle now. Can you see that? I think you can. And it spread the glue all over here and a bit up here as well. And I thought, well, it's not too bad. I can use my rubbery adhesive. But oh no, it wasn't having any of it. It's torn. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to rescue that. Oh, and also that's the black. See, it's quite a bit darker. Okay, so that's my boo-boo today. That's why I'm a bit jumpy about putting things on top of each other. Right, so I'm just going to cut the flower out round the grey line. This will leave you with a white edge, which I don't like, but I'll show you how you can get rid of that. It's the cut edge. It's not where you might leave bits of white on there, but it's inevitable. But you can get rid of it quite easily. So next I'll be using my basic grey marker pen. And what I'm going to show you is good if you have left a piece of white cardstock on there as well. This will colour it for you. Okay, so don't need that. This is my basic grey marker pen, and making sure that you work with your pen underneath your work, because if you slip, then at least you're just drawing a line on the back. If you do it from the front, not a good idea. And all I do is run the edge of my pen along there, and it just colours that white cut edge. And if you've got any white pieces left behind, this would also sort that out as well. You may have to tilt your pen a bit to the front if you've left some white there, but as long as you've got your pen behind your artwork, you're fine. And just go all the way around with that. Okay, so that's that one. Now I've got to do this one. Now this one really is going to be quick and dirty, because the other flower's going to go on top of it. So I do the outside first. I mean, I am going to do some shading on it, but I'm not going to pay as much attention as I did to the flower that I've just cut out. So I still go round the outside of each of the petals, and then I tend to go round a second time to try and get it a bit darker. This is one of the colours that will be retiring at the end of May, which is a shame because I love this. But we do have some nice pink ones with the last year's in colours. In fact, this one looks as if it could be related to Berry Burst. Right, so that's the outside done. Just going to redo the outside on these petals. I'll bring it up close to you again so you can see what I've done. Right, now this I'm just going to colour lightly. Okay, just try not to have any little white bits on this one. I think that's good to go. There we are. Right. So you see on that one, I haven't done any shading on the lighter pink areas. But I have done darker all the way round. Now for this flower, I'm just taking a pencil and just curling the edges a bit. Most of the flower is going to be stuck down, but I just want the ends of the petals to stand up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some Tombow on here. You can use fast fuse, and I'm leaving about 1/4 inch gap all the way round, so that will be my bit that doesn't get adhered down. And then you just need to work out where your flowers line up. I think it's that pointy bit, isn't it? Like I've done. Oh, that's it, isn't it? There we go. So just making sure it sticks down quite a way, but I want this to come up. Okay. Did I punch my grey circle? I don't think I did I? Right, so this is my 1/4 inch punch. Come on, that's it. So just put a little bit of Tombow on that. And just popping that in the centre. Just think it helps to make it look a little bit finished off. Right, so now we're going to bring the Big Shot over and we're going to do the Celebrate You. Right. So where's our dies? You and Celebrate. Let's do the pink first. It looks as if I'd cut my pink a bit short, but I'm sure it'll be right. Yep. With the Brayering, what you can do, I prefer to do mine so that I die cut mine first and then I do the Brayering. But you can do it that you actually brayer your white piece first. I'll show you what I mean on that. I've got a sample. I have tried it so that you know, I could say to you what I thought about whether it made life any easier or not, and I don't think it did. Right, now the white ones. Now you could just brayer all of that, which is what I've done here. Okay. You'll appreciate it a bit more once I start brayering my die cuts. But if you wanted to do this, what you do is you just brayer just this half of your piece of cardstock and then you die cut. But when you see how easy it is to brayer a die cut, I think you might agree with me that you do your big shot bit first. Oops, I haven't got my plates in straight. Look at that. Let's try that again. Hope I haven't messed it up. I'll soon find out. No, that's fine. I'll sort that out properly later. I don't need those. Oh, that's all right. So that's all I need the big shot for. So nothing to do with the sweet sugar plum pieces. I'll get some scrap over. Now what I like to do on these is, where's my card? With the U, because I think that is more important than the celebrate, I like to do that a lot darker than I've done that. I love how this comes up, I really do. In fact, let me bring it close to you so you can see it's not solid along there, and I love that. But because this is Celebrate You, and you is the main part of the card as far as I'm concerned, I've done it a lot darker. But it's entirely up to you how you would like to do it. So let's do that. I'm using our little sponge brayers. I should have washed it after the last cleaning, but I didn't, but that'd be right. These clean very easily, just running them out under the tap. So I'm using Sweet Sugar Plum ink, and the main thing you need to bear in mind about brayering is when you ink your brayer up, you have to do roll, lift, roll, lift, roll, lift. Otherwise, if you just do it backwards and forwards, you're only inking that little bit there. You won't get ink all the way round. And you will think, you look at that and you think, oh, it's not getting much ink, is it? But it's getting more than you realise. Now what I'm trying to do is I want to have up to the bottom of that E with the brayer, and the rest I want white. So I'm only going to eyeball this. I'm not going to try lining it up or anything. Okay, so I'm just rolling. See, to me that looks absolutely gorgeous. Now I'm not going to go too heavy on this because I do want it light. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like. See what I mean? It's like a mottled pattern there, but it's giving you an ombre effect because it's lighter at the top, darker towards the bottom. I think that's really lovely. I like that a lot. Right, now this one I'm going to do heavier, but it doesn't need to be quite as heavy as the last one. Okay, so just line it up about halfway. And you don't have to do this quickly. If you take your time, you'll stand a better chance of getting a nice straight line. Although thinking about it, that wouldn't be a bad idea, would it? Doing something at an angle. Now there's a thought. It's always roll, lift, roll, lift, roll, lift. I know I'm going to show my age here, but it reminds me of Rawhide. I'm not going to sing it to you. That will make you switch off sooner than anything. Right, I think that now has come up quite a bit darker than the Celebrate. But it's beautiful. It's stayed a little bit on the mottled side as well. Okay. Right. So we now need to adhere this onto the Sweet Sugar Plum. Let's pop that there and bring in my silicone mat. So I'll do the Celebrate first. And I find it easier using Tombow to do this. But you can use, except when it clogs up, of course. So let me just unclog this. But if you're happy using fast fuse, by all means. No, you don't want to play ball, do you? I think possibly I've pushed it in rather than pulled it out. Let me give a little squirt on my paper here. That's got it. Where's my tissue? There's a bit of kitchen roll. Yep, that's good. I'll throw that sheet away now. Right, let's see if we can get it to come out quite slowly. Otherwise I'll be blotting this on a sheet of paper. Okay, let's keep that tipped upside down. Right, where's my tweezers? Right, so the way I do this, I keep this end up and I concentrate on getting this letter down first, and then I work my way through. And I'm just moving it over slightly. And as I go down, making sure all the letters are off to the side just a little bit. Very easy if you've got, if you're using tweezers, because you can just make sure that both are down at the same level there. Okay, so that's all right. And then this one. Yes, that's quite a bit darker, isn't it? This one I'm going to adhere to the card on using dimensionals, just to give it a little bit of a lift. Obviously this one's a lot easier because it's a lot smaller. There we go. Let me just bring these up close for you so you can see how much of an overlap I've got. Alright, It really is just a tad. But it makes it a little bit like an eclipse card. Now the next bit I'm going to do is to adhere this on. And what I do is I put the glue on and I gradually sort of bend it so it's slightly arched. And I'll show you how I do that. I haven't been brave enough to bend it round a lot, because I think if you do it too much it's going to actually cause creases in the cardstock, and obviously with the white cardstock it will show. But I don't know how far is too far. Right, so what I do is I pick this up by the letter B, because that's obviously the centre, and I position my B. I do this so that it's just going onto the sun here, so it's more or less up the top here, and it should fit in nicely. So what I do with my B is it's got to go directly above the sun there. Okay, so if you hold these up and you pop the B down where you want it to go, give it a little bit of a push down so that Tombow can get a grip, and then bring the E round very slightly, give that a push, give the L a little bit of a bend, give that a push, and then the E and the C. Now all you need to do for the other side, crikey, I've bent that a lot. Hope I haven't bent that too much. Right, so that's the R, the A. Now I've got to get the bottom of the E level with this one, which is pushing it a bit, but I think I'm there. Okay, right, now that was too far. So I found out now how too far is. Right, let me show you. If you have a look just there, the paper has actually buckled. Okay, so that is bending too far, and that one is bending not far enough. So you need to find a happy balance. In fact, I think that's come down a bit further, hasn't it? I don't think so. In fact, that B there is a little bit bent as well. It doesn't show because it's pink, but the white one does. But there we go. So what I'm going to do now with the U, that I'm going to pop up with dimensionals, and this one here is left over from the previous one, and what I did was I cut off a thin slither off of the edge. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to have to do it again because I don't have enough. So that's either side of the U. You will find if you cut thin strips like this, it's a lot more pliable if you take both backing sheets off. I'm going to make this enough. I've got one little piece here. If I cut it into two, I can put top and bottom of the O, and that will work brilliantly. before I adhere that on there, I'm going to put the rest of the card together so that I can put my strips across here, and that will help me decide exactly where I want the U to go. Make sure I'm putting it on the right way. Don't think I did my cutting very well today, did I? Well, never mind. Now the thin strips. Right, which two do I want? I think all three are different sizes. Okay, let's just cut this to size. Then this one. I do find these little thin strips get a little bit bent inside my scraps folder, but because they're being adhered down, they'll get flattened out. Right, now what I do for this one is I just position my card on my grid paper, and then I make sure that I line up from side to side. Choose which line I want. I want to go below that line there, which is below that one. So that should be right. I think that needs a little bit of a push upwards. Let me have a look. Oh yes, that looks good. And the other one? What did I just do with the other one? Did I put it up here? Looks like it. There we go. Do that again, line that up with the grid lines. Right, that's right in the centre of that line, and right in the centre of that line. Oops. No, I think that's alright. Yep, that's fine. And now it's just a question of popping this on. Now I will put my card upwards. I'm lining the O up with the sunshine and making the bottom of all the letters parallel to this. So there we go. I think that's straight, and then inside the card I've got that. So have I forgotten anything? I don't think so. I think that's the end of today's project. Hope you've enjoyed it. It is an easy card to make, and this is absolutely super. I love this Brayering. Really, really taken to this. And as I say, you can just wash these out, these little sponges. You get a pack of 4, I believe. Just a moment, let me see if I can reach my catalogue up here. Right, here we go. It's on page 200 in the annual catalogue. Sponge brayers, you get 4 with 4 sponges and 2 handles, because these are interchangeable. So really good value for money. In sterling and euros, it's £7.25 and €9.50, which is effectively for 4 sponges, so that's very, very good value. So many thanks for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed the project, and I hope you give it a try. If you have any comments to make, please leave them in the box below the video. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here, there'll be a link to my 24/7 shop in the box below. And don't forget that during July 2018 I am running a prize draw for everybody who shops in my online store, and the prize is a pack of the large letter framelits and also the coordinating stamp set that goes with it, goes with it, which I think is called large letters or something. But one lucky winner will get those. I do have something special for those of you who can't shop with me because you're not in the Stamping Up European market, and that if you leave a message on my blog, you'll be put in for a prize draw to win a box of my handmade cards and also something that's really very English. So there you go. In the box below you will also find the measurements and all the products that I've used. If you've enjoyed my video and you'd like to be notified each time I upload a new one, which is normally Wednesdays and Sundays, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And finally, during celebration, which ends on 31st of March 2018, I am looking to recruit more people for my team. So if you'd like to know what's involved in that, please email me at jambi@jambicards.com. I'd love to hear from you. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.